He pushed the mop down the quiet hospital corridor, blending into the night. No one looked twice at the janitor in scrubs, the one who worked silently while the city slept. Doctors whispered, nurses glanced, and patients never noticed. But what they didn't know would shock them to their core. For years, he carried a secret that would shatter assumptions, challenge privilege, and force everyone who dismissed him to confront their own bias. Who was this man everyone overlooked? And why would discovering the truth leave the entire hospital stunned? By day, he was Dr. Marcus Hayes, a skilled surgeon whose hands saved lives at one of the nation's top hospitals. By night, he became something almost invisible, a janitor on the graveyard shift, pushing a mop through silent corridors while the world slept. No one recognized the brilliance behind the tired eyes, the dedication behind the quiet work. Colleagues walked past without a thought. Patients never guessed. And even the doctors who trained with him had no idea who he really was. Yet every night, as he scrubbed floors and emptied trash cans, an unspoken tension lingered in the air. A tension that hinted at the moment his secret would collide with prejudice, and everything they thought they knew would be shattered. Night after night, Marcus moved through the same corridors, a silent witness to a world that never acknowledged him. He scrubbed floors, emptied trash, and stocked supplies while doctors and nurses passed, heads down, absorbed in their routines. Some gave curt nods, others ignored him entirely, assuming the uniform defined him more than the man inside it. Every evening, he felt the weight of unspoken judgments pressing on him, small slights that stung more than anyone would admit. A patronizing comment here, a door held too long there, a glance of disbelief when he entered a room. It wasn't just the hospital hierarchy that tested him. It was society's assumptions, the prejudices baked into every glance, every interaction. He remembered the subtle shock in a surgeon's eyes when he first joined the residency program years ago, the whisper of disbelief when colleagues learned he had graduated top of his class from a prestigious medical school. People assumed his intellect, his skill, and his accomplishments were impossible for someone who looked like him. And now, dressed as a janitor, he felt the same assumptions all over again. One night, a high-profile patient was rushed into the ER. Doctors scrambled, nurses coordinated, tension crackling in the sterile air. Marcus moved efficiently, quietly assisting where he could, cleaning and prepping, observing the chaos. He noticed the skepticism in the attending surgeon's eyes, the dismissive tone when instructions were given. They treated him as a background presence, invisible, incapable of insight. But Marcus knew every procedure, every tool, every protocol. The knowledge was in his hands, even if no one could see it. Then came the moment that would change everything. A critical complication arose with the patient. The lead surgeon hesitated, unsure of the next step. Marcus's heart pounded. He could see the seconds slipping by, precious lives at stake. A choice confronted him: remain in the shadows as expected, or step forward and risk humiliation, disbelief, even confrontation. He made his move, offering a suggestion, a precise, calculated intervention drawn from years of experience. The room froze. Eyes turned. The silence was deafening. Shock rippled across the faces of the staff. Whispers filled the room. Could it be? No. The janitor? Marcus felt the tension, the disbelief, the simmering mix of respect and prejudice battling in the eyes around him. For a heartbeat, everything held: the judgment, the bias, the injustice. And then the truth began to unravel, threatening the walls of assumptions everyone clung to. No one knew what would happen next. Would they accept his guidance, or dismiss him again? Would the revelation spark admiration, resentment, or worse? Every step, every glance, every heartbeat in that moment was a cliffhanger. A quiet storm about to break, exposing the chasm between perception and reality, prejudice and truth. The room was tense, every second stretching like an eternity. Marcus stood frozen for a heartbeat, watching the lead surgeon hesitate over a critical incision. Lives hung in the balance, and yet the hospital's hierarchy, the unspoken wall of bias, threatened to silence him. He could feel the weight of every glance, every assumption pressing down. "You're just a janitor. You don't belong here." But he did belong. Every skill, every hour of study, every life-saving decision had led to this moment. With steady hands, he stepped forward, voice calm but firm, issuing precise instructions that no one could ignore. For a moment, disbelief held the room captive. The surgeon's eyes widened, nurses froze mid-step, and even the patient's family, watching anxiously from the waiting area, felt the tension crackle through the walls. Whispers erupted, some incredulous, others awed. He knows what he's doing?" someone murmured. Marcus felt anger flare. Anger at the prejudice that had forced him into invisibility, and fear that even this act of truth might be dismissed, or worse, ridiculed. Every heartbeat thundered in his chest, each one a reminder of the stakes, not just the patient's life, but the battle against assumptions, against injustice. Then came the first incision under his guidance. The procedure went flawlessly. Relief, shock, and grudging respect collided in the room. The silence that followed was deafening, heavier than any applause could ever be. Marcus looked around at the faces that had judged him, overlooked him, dismissed him, and realized this was the moment everything changed. But change is never instant. Would they accept him now, or retreat behind old prejudices? Would this revelation spark admiration, resentment, or a dangerous mix of both? The answer hung in the air, unspoken, as the room exhaled collectively, balanced on the edge of awe and disbelief. Marcus tightened his jaw, heart still racing, knowing that this moment, raw and undeniable, was only the beginning. The question remained, could truth ever truly overcome the walls built by years of bias? The procedure ended successfully, and the tension that had gripped the room finally began to ease. Marcus stepped back, hands still trembling slightly, not from exhaustion, but from the weight of what had just occurred. In that moment, he realized the truth was undeniable. No uniform, no assumptions, no prejudice could erase his skill, his dedication, or his worth. The same colleagues who had dismissed him now regarded him with a mixture of awe, hesitation, and reluctant respect. But the victory was bittersweet. The incident didn't erase years of subtle discrimination, nor did it dissolve the invisible barriers that so many like him faced every day. Marcus knew that his story was both extraordinary and painfully familiar, a reflection of countless people overlooked, underestimated, or ignored simply because of the color of their skin or the roles society had assigned them. As he walked through the hospital corridors once more, this time seen for who he truly was, he carried a quiet resolve. The world had glimpsed his truth, and that glimpse could spark change. If people chose to see beyond appearances, to challenge assumptions, and to act against injustice wherever it hid. This was more than one man's triumph. It was a reminder of the bias that lingers in every hallway, every office, every community. And it left a question echoing in the hearts of all who witnessed it. How many brilliant minds, how many untold stories continue to go unseen because of prejudice? Marcus's night shift was over, but the story wasn't. It lingered, challenging us to recognize the invisible, to confront our own assumptions, and to ask ourselves, how many more talents, lives, and truths are we overlooking, and what will we do to change that?